live.
Are we live?
I think so. Don't look at the camera.
It says,
we're at a red light.
Does it say we're live?
It says we're live.
All right,
we
cool.
are live. Here we are.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? It is Rachel and Jerry Niesman, the Niesman Team at Keller Williams Realty, in our first ever Stuck in the Car filming video. Woohoo! Welcome to Talk About It Tuesday.
It's not the first ever Stuck in the Car filming.
Well, no.
It's the first Talk About It Tuesday I think we've done in the car, though.
First Talk About It Tuesday. The absolute madness that is this scenario is thanks in part to just needing to handle business today. So, yeah, we are the Niesman Team, Keller Williams, 10 years full-time, 11 years full-time real estate, right? How many people you helped?
I don't know, a ton.
A lot,
over
right?
Over 500.
We always say over 500, but, you know.
I don't know the exact number.
It's been more than that. We should know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do my due diligence and do a little bit of research. If only we had an administrative assistant to handle those things and know the answers to those questions. So we are here to do Talk About It Tuesday. We are driving to a title company because we have a check for a client that's got to be in today. So we have exactly 32 minutes until we get there, and we are going to review the pros and cons of living in Cape Coral.
While driving through Cape Coral.
While driving through Cape Coral, that's where we're headed to. What are the odds? See, I could just feign that we did this on purpose, but we did not do this on purpose. No, we did not. All right, so let's talk about living in Cape Coral. First of all, Jerry Niesman, have you ever personally lived in Cape Coral?
I have.
Yes, so have I, because we're married.
And we lived there together while we were married.
We did indeed. And our babies were very little. We moved to Cape Coral when we first lived in Southwest Florida. We rented a home. We didn't buy, but we rented a home in Cape Coral because we weren't sure of where we wanted to live in Southwest Florida. So we lived there for a couple of years and ended up buying in North Fort Myers, which is to the east.
To the east.
So let's talk about, where is Cape Coral, Jerry? Where is it compared to, so you have Fort Myers proper.
Which is where most people know of the area. Most people know of Fort Myers, even though Fort Myers actually has a smaller population than Cape Coral.
Much smaller population.
Yes.
So it is Cape
Coral's to the west.
Across
the Caloosahatchee River from Fort
Correct.
Myers.
Yes. So you go across the river and you are in Cape Coral. So Cape Coral, what is the nickname? I love when you tell people the nickname. What's the nickname for Cape Coral? And Jerry's driving. I'm not driving. I'm sitting here with a selfie stick in my car, being completely responsible and driving and watching very safely. Jerry, tell us, what is the nickname of Cape Coral?
I don't know. The land of 10,000 miles worth of canals?
I thought that it was
the Venice of
Florida. Yes, it's the little Venice of Florida.
Like, get in his own lane instead of driving in half in my lane.
So Cape Coral is the Venice of Florida. It's the little Venice of Florida.
Not little. There's more miles of canals in Cape Coral than there is in Venice, Italy.
So it's Venice. We should just like slap a Venice. Wait, I think there's already a Venice, Florida.
There is.
I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna have to we're working. We're filming. We're like, listen, sorry.
Can't silence
if that's
my
you
phone.
on the phone, we'll call you as soon as we stop at the title company. Jerry will call you back while I run in the check. So, okay, let's talk about Cape Coral proper. So, Cape Coral, I found, fortunately, more recent numbers than what I found last week when we did the pros and cons of living in North Fort Myers. I got my act together, did a little Google search. According to the Google, in 2019, 180,000 people lived in Cape Coral, Florida. That's a versus 48,000 in Fort Myers and 41,000 in North Fort Myers. So you're talking like what?
4.5 times?
3.5?
4.5.
4.5. Very good.
If you're gonna ask math, ask the math whiz.
As the person who knows how to do math, right? Okay.
But that's Fort Myers proper.
Yes.
That's not like Fort Myers mailing address. That's just in the Fort Myers city limits.
So, and people often lump together living in Fort Myers as Fort Myers Beach, North Fort Myers, and like Not a lot of people do, but sometimes down even into like the Estero area, people think of as Fort Myers. But Cape Coral has 180,000 people in 2019 living in it. The average income is $57,000 is the median income, which is $15,000 higher than the median income in Fort Myers, North Fort Myers. And the median age is smack dab in between those two. So the youngest of the three, the median age of Fort Myers is 40 years old, 40.6 years old. And Cape Coral is 46 years old, and North Fort Myers is 62 years old. So you can kind of see where like the division of people. Some of the top attractions in Cape Coral. What are your top attractions? I didn't ask you this question.
I mean, the number one attraction to Cape Coral is water, water, and more water.
Yes.
Like the canals, being able to have your boat in your backyard in the water. Like, go walk out your back door, hop in your boat, go fishing, go shelling, go to the beach, all by boat. That is the number one reason why people move to Cape Coral.
Yes, and not only can you just, if you have a boat or want to be on a boat, there is a small Cape Coral beach at the Cape Coral Yacht Club. So you do have a little tiny beach that you can be on. They have a little pier. No.
Yes, they do.
It is a little pier. It's a restaurant, and there's a swimming pool, a public pool there. It's a really nice area. But you can also fish in those canals. And so a lot of people come to fish in Cape Coral. And there is a lot of like nice pavilion, like boardwalks where you can walk in Cape Coral. It's very like outdoorsy and active. Lots of parks, lots of playgrounds.
They just approved like 6 new parks that they're in the process of building.
Do you know where any of those are going or no? They just approved it, so who knows?
Yes, they've shown, I've seen the plans, but off the top of my head, no, I don't have the exact.
Cool. So other highlights of Cape Coral include things like there's a little rum distillery that you can go and take a tour of. We've never done that, but we need to. There is a farmer's market in Cape Coral on the weekends that you can get to. I'm not sure if they're doing it in the COVID times, but the Google will tell you that. But I'm sure things are resuming normalcy. Have you heard, Jerry, that they've approved that all 50 states, any adult of any age can get a vaccine?
Cool. I did not hear that, but
Ta-da!
I figured, I mean, we've got it here, and most people I've talked to in other places have been able to schedule appointments now.
There is not only a bunch of parks, there's also a water park in Cape Coral called Sunsplash. The closest water park outside of that in Southwest Florida is going to be down in Naples. Yep. Sun and Fun Lagoon. So we'll get to Naples later. There's a nice cultural park theater. So there's like live shows and musical and things like that. There is it 47th Terrace? That's
yes,
the like
47th Terrace is where all the restaurants and bars and nightlife is.
Yeah, there's a couple cool like nightclubs. There's a painting pottery place down there. There's some cool little pieces of Cape Coral. So let's get into some
lots of waterfront dining.
Yes, waterfront dining. You can find shopping everywhere. There's a couple of Targets, tons of Publix, every kind of craft store you want. So this is, I'll include this, I'll lump this into what I consider to be the pro of living in Cape Coral. Tell me if you agree. I think one of the biggest pros of living in Cape Coral, if you get rid of like the fish life. So I feel like Cape Coral is a very self-contained community of Southwest Florida, where maybe even more so than Fort Myers and North Fort Myers, people who live in Cape Coral often don't leave Cape Coral. They work in Cape Coral, the kids go to school in Cape Coral, they grocery shop in Cape Coral, and they hardly ever go what we call over the bridge. Because don't forget, Cape Coral's over bridges. You have to get there
by going over the bridge.
By going over the bridge.
And yes, it is. And to the point where I know realtors who won't leave Cape Coral, like they will send a referral to me for a client. If a client decides, I don't think Cape Coral's the spot for me, I want to look at Fort Myers or North Fort Myers, they will send the referral to me because they don't want to drive over the bridge to go show houses.
It is very self-contained, which I consider to be one of the biggest pros. You'll also find it pop up on one of my personal cons of Cape Coral, but we'll come to that in a little bit. But it's nice. It's a nice area. It's a nice little, is it a city?
Cape Coral is a city.
City of Cape Coral.
Yes.
It's a nice city. It's, I find it to be very clean, and everybody's very nice, but it is very like self-contained. You have to go over a bridge to get into it, or go to get out of Cape Coral into it's either going to be
depends
bridges.
on which way you come from. But
Yeah, so
most common way to get in and out is over a bridge.
There's one way where North Cape Coral turns into North Fort Myers, into our neck of the woods, right?
Or if you're coming from Punta Gorda.
Or if you're coming from Punta Gorda, you
Like
can go
the
north
north.
to south.
Yes.
Because
it's like a little
northwest to
finger.
southwest, yes.
It's like a little finger that sticks out between the Gulf and the river.
Yes. So it's incredibly family friendly here. Our clients consistently adore Cape Coral for their school system. And it's still Lee County school system. It's not like it's a separate city. So the way that schools work in Lee County is you pick zones. There's zone zone 1, zone 2. You live in a zone, and then you give them your preference of schools within your zone. And we always hear from clients consistently, like, I love the zoned Cape Coral schools, right? Is that what you hear too?
It's the West Zone.
Okay.
And so yes,
I'm glad he knows about it.
That's a big draw for why people move to Cape Coral as well.
Is the schools.
With families, it's the schools.
People love the public school system there. And what else? Oh, canals, fishing, boating, clean, family friendly. I think that's about it. If anybody else wants to add, don't forget, we're live right here for a purpose. If you want to add any comments, if there's something you love or think is a pro about Cape Coral, drop it in there, and I'll be happy to pitch it out in the video for when this goes over to our YouTube channel. If you're watching from YouTube in the future, hello. But yeah, I think that's about it. Do you have any other pros, Jerry?
I think that covers it.
I mean, I know that we have one coming up that made my con list of when I was writing cons, and Jerry had mentioned, oh, well, that could be a pro or a con, so we'll come to that too.
Well, a lot of these that we listed as pros are also going to be cons. It depends on you as a person and a buyer.
Sure. Well, and I don't know that it's a con for me, but I don't like fishing. I don't have any interest in going to a canal and tossing a fishing pole in, but I know a lot of people who live in Florida do. So it's definitely a pro.
No, but I'm saying there's going to be a lot of these that are, for example, the canals. While fishing may not necessarily be a con, the canals sometimes can be, because it gets a little tricky navigating Cape Coral.
Oh, sure.
You have to there's some times where you have to go a long way around to get around a canal, because there's not a bridge.
Yes, that's true. So
you wish there was.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A bridge or a neighborhood that's built, and you have to drive kind of out of your way sometimes. Cape Coral's not always the fastest place to drive through. It gets congested because there's only certain streets to go around all the canals. All right, so let's flip over to our con list. Our first con
I thought we just did that.
is, Amber said, no. Amber says here that the canals are pretty to look at. Very true.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very nice. It's not dissimilar to when we get to Fort Myers and what the pros and cons of living in Fort Myers proper. Next week, we're going to talk about that. We did North Fort Myers last week, Cape Coral today, and then next week we're going to do Fort Myers. And it's not going to be dissimilar to, in Fort Myers, all the gated communities. It's just pretty to live there. And Cape Coral's a pretty place to live.
I mean, like I said, a big draw is the water. So even if you're not a boater, a lot of people buy houses with a water view just to look at the water. Right.
Yes. Awesome. And so I'm going to flip over. My number one con is the same thing as my number one pro, which is that Cape Coral is a great self-contained, stay there forever, you never have to leave community, which for somebody like me as a homeowner, I want to be able to travel easily, far, we purchased our home based on where it was in relationship to the I-75, which runs basically north and south in our entire country. It'll take you straight out of the state of Florida and eventually wrap you around Alligator Alley over to the east coast of Florida. But so I like to be able to move around quickly and easily and get out of town. Cape Coral, you have to work a little bit to get there. So what do you think about that? And having to, so you have clients, is this a popular choice for people who are looking to work in Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, Estero?
Well, yeah, because it's typically more affordable.
Okay, so that's an interesting, tell me about that. What's the price point difference, do you think, ish? What do you versus?
Well, so it depends, but there's a lot more waterfront in Cape Coral than there is waterfront in Fort Myers. So the waterfront in Fort Myers is extremely expensive. I mean, typically you can't touch a Gulf access home in Fort Myers. Right now, you're probably like stuff that needs significant updating and renovation is probably $500,000 and up in Fort Myers. And in Cape Coral, you can still find homes that need significant updating and renovation, but they're still Gulf access for like in the $350,000 to $400,000 range. So you're $100,000 to $150,000 less for a Gulf access home in Cape Coral. And in Cape Coral, you can get pool homes, non-Gulf access pool homes for like, there's usually a few under $250,000 right now. And in Fort Myers, for one that's in decent shape, like those that'll be around $250,000 in Cape Coral, you're talking closer to like $350,000 to $400,000. So it's about $150,000 less expensive.
So that's a big motivation, right? And I love that, Amber, you're here watching with us and you're commenting some of the things that you love about living in Cape Coral. It's so pretty. The roads are busy, but not as busy as like Fort Myers, and it feels very safe to you. The awesome school system, agreed, and lots of new homes being built in Cape Coral. That's true. We've been able to help first-time home buyers in the last year build a brand new home somewhere in Cape Coral for
it was under like $180,000, $190,000.
So under $200,000, yeah, for a brand new like starter home for a first-time home buyer. I think that's pretty incredible.
And it was a nice house.
It was a nice house.
It wasn't like a super basic builder grade. I mean, you got granite countertops, you got nice shaker cabinets, you got plank vinyl floors. I mean, it was a nice house. Brand new house for under $200,000. Now they're running a little over $200,000 now, but not crazy over.
Right.
So
it is. It's affordable. It's there are new things. There are new things still being built here.
Oh, tons, because there's all kinds of land.
Oh, I didn't put this in the pro, but we talked about it a little bit in our North Fort Myers video. Not so many HOAs and HOA fees.
True.
And you can't, how many gated communities can you think of here in Cape Coral? I can think
a handful.
Yeah, just 1 or 2, 3 like big gated communities, whereas Fort Myers is chock full of them. And so they yeah. So I think that's a pro. But that's because I don't love living in HOA. So again, a lot of this comes down to who you are as a homeowner and what you're looking to accomplish. And so, but because
she doesn't like living in HOAs from the person who wants to move into a condo.
Yeah, so I want to own the condo building so I can be the one making the decision on what color to paint the mailbox. So we just need to be real estate investors.
So you want to buy a condo and then take the title of president of the condo association.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So
I could do that.
You'll take on that presidential title.
Yes. Yes. We're chock full of titles right now. So we want to acknowledge that there's not a lot of HOAs, but on our con list, which is the one that Jerry said could be a pro as well, is, there's a lot of code enforcement in Cape Coral. Talk to me about it, Jerry. Like, okay, North Fort Myers, where we lived at, like, you just throw a rooster in your backyard, right?
I mean, where we are, because it's zoned agriculture, so you can have farm animals, you can have whatever you want.
Like, we want a goat. If we want a goat, we just buy a goat.
If we want a cow, we can buy a cow. If we want horses, we can go get a horse. We can have it in our backyard.
Ain't nobody in North Fort Myers telling us North Fort Myers people what to do. But in Cape Coral,
that's not true. They can, but there's a lot less of it.
Sure. Okay, so tell me about Cape Coral code enforcement. Who is it? Who does it?
The city.
So it's the city of Cape Coral, and
so there are rules and regulations that you're supposed to follow if you live in Cape Coral. The most common, there's very little agricultural land in Cape Coral, so farm animals are not allowed. Doesn't mean people don't have them.
Talk to me about keeping boats and cars and stuff in your yard.
The other very common rules that are complained about is you're not allowed to have vehicles, RVs, boats parked in your driveway or in your yard in the front of the house. What most people don't realize is you are allowed to have them in behind your house.
What about the side of your house?
So the backyard is considered anything behind the front of the house. So it can be on the side as long as every piece of the vehicle, trailer, RV, whatever it is behind the front part of your house.
Right, and Amber just said,
so if it sticks out past the front of your house, you can get in trouble for it.
Amber just said here, no work vehicles with business names on the driveways.
Correct. So commercial vehicles as well, and that includes like my car, like my regular civilian car. If I've got my magnets on it, if I leave my magnets on the side of the car that says I'm a realtor, I can get fined for that.
I've heard of people.
That's why I have magnets. You take them off.
I've heard of people who get stopped and tagged for, like, you need to paint your house. Which seems crazy to me.
If it's in really bad shape, it could. They require that you keep the lawn mowed. That's why they put on the vacant lots, they put a mowing program in place they just collect the fee on your tax bill. And then they mow the lot for you.
So
on the vacant lots, so they don't have to fight with homeowners to get it done, or lot owners to get it done.
So, tell me about the utilities situation. I don't get it.
And so with code enforcement, it's a pro and a con.
Yes.
It helps people that are not, people that don't maintain their properties are going to have issues. And the people that live by those people who don't maintain their properties are going to be happy that they'll have issues, because it helps to maintain property values.
Yeah, like Amber just said right here. She said she's never been fined in all of Cape Coral, and she's lived here for 12 years.
Yeah, and most people haven't. Most people don't. The people that have issues are typically the people who never bothered to find out what the rules were, and they don't want to follow them. I mean, I know that, like, my dad lives in Cape Coral, and he's had code enforcement stop a couple times because he's got a boat on a trailer. When he first moved here, I told him he needed to put the boat on the side of the house, and he said, okay, I'm going to work on it for a couple days, whatever. Had it in the driveway, and sure enough, code enforcement came by, said, you can't have that in the driveway. So he said, okay, no problem, I'll move it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he was doing some yard work and didn't get done with one of the things that he was working on, and so they stopped. And like they give you warnings first. They don't like try to run around and fine everybody.
They're not DNA testing your dog's dog poop.
No,
so in the neighborhood, if you leave it on the sidewalk.
Their job is to help keep the city looking good and
that's
well-maintained.
like verbatim for what Amber just said, which is code enforcement may be annoying, but it helps keep Cape Coral looking nice.
Yeah.
And they usually only come out if like the neighbors call and complain on you. She
Correct.
said also too that you can only water your lawn on certain days and times, stuff like that.
Everywhere in Lee County.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it about Cape Coral, and I don't know it about Lee County, but now I know.
I mean,
look at all the things that I'm
even in
learning.
North Fort Myers, we can get in trouble if we mow our lawn on the wrong day.
We don't get in trouble for anything. All you people who are listening being like, yo, that sounds like a lot of restrictions. Welcome to the Wild West of North Fort Myers. Check out that video because that place is for you. All right, so let's talk about the utilities because I don't really get it.
All right, so
When Cape Coral was built, take us on the journey.
take us back to the late 50s. Okay.
Start in the beginning.
Really, I mean, some of it happened before then, but very little. Back when Edison and Ford were here in Fort Myers.
Yes.
You had to take a ferry to Cape Coral.
Let's talk about
It was
Robert
boat
E.
only.
Lee in Lee County.
So, no, we're not going that far back. So with utilities, basically what it is they originally put city water and sewer in Southeast Cape, which is the first part of Cape Coral that was developed because it was closest to Fort Myers. It's where they built the first bridge, all that good stuff. And they put city water and sewer in that area, and the rest of the area was so undeveloped that they weren't running city water and sewer, spending all kinds of money to do that because there was just there wasn't enough population to warrant it. Now that there is 180 plus thousand people, now it needs public utilities because everybody being all those houses for 180,000 people being on well and septic will completely deplete the aquifer underneath the ground where all of those well pumps are if they go in there. So you got a 50-foot well. And now what happens when that water level drops below 50 foot? Now you got no water.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to
You
your
got
question,
no water.
Jerry.
You got no water.
Okay, so what do our people need to know when they're looking at real estate? I feel like this always comes up.
Yes.
So when you're looking at moving to Cape Coral.
So what they're doing is they're adding city water and sewer into other parts of Cape Coral. So virtually all of Southwest Cape Coral is done and on city water and sewer. And now they're moving into the northern half of Cape Coral.
Explain about these quadrants. The fact that streets are all named with these quadrants. What are they? And
so basically Cape Coral is pretty much set up on a grid system in terms of the roads. And it's split into 4 quadrants, which is southeast, which is the oldest part, and closest to Fort Myers, just across the river. So you got southeast, then you got southwest. Those two have the most Gulf access properties. And then you've got northeast and northwest.
can you give us like a quick 1-line summary of the biggest pro and con of each of those 4 quadrants? Why would people pick one of those 4 to move to? What's the best thing about it, and like probably the bummer side of living in those 4 quadrants?
So southeast is
It's expensive, right? It's like,
I mean, not necessarily, because it's older. So it's the most developed. Brand new homes, if you're looking for something newer. You're looking typically at older homes that either need updating or have been updated. Southwest is actually probably the most expensive.
closest to the water, like the big water, right?
Well, yeah. So on Southeast, your access point to the Gulf is the river, the Caloosahatchee River. So in Southeast, basically almost all of the canals empty out into the Caloosahatchee River. So you go down the river to get into the Gulf. Southwest, you come out and most of it comes out pretty much right into the Gulf. A lot of it is behind a lock, though. So that is one, for some people, potential negative. because you have to, in the busy season, you have to wait on that lock. And then Northwest is the most affordable Gulf access area. Lots of new construction there. Oh, Southwest is a lot of newer homes too. Northwest is tons of new construction.
It's the furthest away from Fort Myers, though.
It is.
So it's a hike. How long is it to get deep in Northwest into, like, say somebody wants to live in Cape Coral but works at Health Park?
From Northwest Cape Coral to Health Park
during season,
an hour.
It takes an hour to get there for sure.
Yeah. But
it's a hike.
But Northwest Cape Coral is going to be the most affordable Gulf access area. Typically the most affordable all the way around. Even the non-Gulf access stuff usually is a little bit more affordable in Northwest, just because it is further from everything else. And then what else?
We were talking about, okay, so let's get into, I'm going to
Northeast.
remind you where we're at. He's going to find where we're parking. I have to run into a title company. I want to read some of Amber's notes here. She's given us great info as one of our VIP people who lives in Cape Coral. She says that she makes sure you know if the house owner owes assessments before buying. I live in the last zone that's supposed to get assessed. Not looking forward to paying $17,000 to $20,000 for each of our lots. Is that how much it costs? I'm like shocked right now. I'm going to hand you guys over to Jerry. He's going to go over that and talk more about the assessment situation and what you as a home buyer are going to be looking for.
So yeah, the assessments, basically they're coming to the northeast and northwest part of Cape Coral is where they're adding the utilities now. The pros are it adds significantly to your property value. A lot of people don't realize that. But I've got a client right now that's looking at lots in Northwest Cape, but the very southern part of Northwest Cape, and just south of the the cutoff of where they just put in city water and sewer, as well as just north of that cutoff. And the difference in land cost for a regular quarter-acre lot, no canal, no freshwater, no saltwater canal, just regular dry lot. We're looking at lots for between $28,000 and $35,000 on without city water and sewer being put in yet, and with city water and sewer being put in yet, or being put in already, but the assessments not having been paid, they're $55,000 to $75,000. So we're talking 20 to 30 grand more because city water and sewer has been put in, and you still have to pay those $17,000 assessment bill. So it's costing what, $37,000 to $50,000 difference, roughly, because they got city water and sewer put in. It's a massive difference without, without even factoring that, paying those assessments so far. So it adds a huge increase to your property values. And basically, if you're on well and septic, it means you have no water bill. You're just running well water through your house, and you normally have a water softener to treat the water. If you don't, it's going to smell pretty like rotten eggs, because there's a high sulfur content in the water here. So basically everybody has a water softener on their house if they're on well water and septic. And being on city water and sewer, you don't have that, but you do have the water bill, which typically runs somewhere in the ballpark of $100 to $200 a month, depending on your usage. So let's see, what else? What's up?
Hey, I need to continue working inside, but I wanted to remind you, if you get done with assessments, our last con was about that we've heard some people struggling getting like internet connection and things like that because it's out in the middle of nowhere. So talk about that, and I love you if I don't see you guys, and bye, and he'll say goodbye, and I leave you with Jerry.
Yes, so it depends on where you're at in Cape Coral, but some of the northern Cape Coral areas, because they're not as developed as yet, they run into where technically everywhere in Cape Coral has high-speed internet access, but what some people consider high speed and what other people, what some internet providers consider high speed is like 5 megabits of internet speed, where most people consider high-speed internet as like 50 plus. I know Comcast, pretty much everywhere they service, has up to about 100 here in Southwest Florida, and CenturyLink is the other major provider, and in some areas they have 1 gig speed, but in a lot of areas they're lower than that. They have somewhere in the 50, 25, 50, 100. But in certain parts, so if internet speed is important to you, then you need to have a conversation with your realtor or me as your realtor, and we'll talk about and check with the internet provider for the area to make sure that the speed is going to be able to handle what you need it to do. So that's it for our pros and cons of living in Cape Coral. Anybody else got any other questions? Yes, Amber, where you are, you can only get CenturyLink, but your speed is a little bit better than some of the other people not far from you. I don't remember what speed yours is, but I believe it's somewhere in the like 15 to 25 range, something like that, I think. But if you go on the outer edge of the Gator Circle area, it drops down to like between 5 and 7. So, so that's where we're at. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop a message here and we'll respond. Shoot me a text, 239-201-9583, or call. That's my cell. Email me at jerryniesman@gmail.com. Send me a message here, private message here on Facebook, or drop us a message on YouTube at the Niesman Team. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.